What if I told you the story of Christopher Columbus discovering America is, well, a lie? And that the legendary Knights Templar not only beat him to it, but they brought with them the most sought-after relic in history, the Holy Grail. It's an amazing story, one that has fueled countless books, TV shows, and a seemingly endless treasure hunt on a mysterious island. The tale is jam-packed with secret maps, warrior monks, and a treasure that could literally rewrite history. But is any of it true? Today, we're going to separate historical fact from some very elaborate fiction. We'll follow the breadcrumbs of this incredible legend and hold them up to the light of actual evidence. So, join us as we uncover what happened to the Knights Templar and their legendary and perhaps non-existent treasure. The legend usually kicks off in darkness and desperation. The date is Friday, October 13th, 1307. On orders from the massively indebted King Philip IV of France, soldiers stormed Templar properties across the country, arresting thousands of knights on shocking charges of heresy and blasphemy. In a single stroke, the most powerful, wealthy, and secretive military order in Christendom is brought to its knees. The legend usually kicks off in darkness and desperation. The date is Friday, October 13th, 1307. On orders from the massively indebted King Philip IV of France, soldiers stormed Templar properties across the country, arresting thousands of knights on shocking charges of heresy and blasphemy. In a single stroke, the most powerful, wealthy, and secretive military order in Christendom is brought to its knees. But, as the story goes, they weren't caught completely off guard. A small, loyal group of knights managed to escape. They fought their way to the port of La Rochelle, where the Templar fleet was anchored. Under the cover of darkness, they loaded their immense treasure piles of gold, ancient scrolls, and, of course, the Holy Grail itself onto 18 ships and vanished into the Atlantic. Their first stop, the theory claims, was Scotland. Here, they found refuge with allies like the Sinclair family. But with Europe still a tinderbox of persecution, they knew they couldn't stay. Using secret knowledge, and maybe even ancient Viking sea charts, they planned their next, most audacious move. Led by the Scottish nobleman Henry Sinclair, the Earl of Orkney, the Templars supposedly set sail across the vast, unknown ocean in 1398, almost a full century before Columbus. They weren't just exploring. They were on a mission to build a new home, a new Jerusalem, far from the greedy kings of Europe. They brought their treasure and their secrets to the shores of North America, where they hid them, waiting for a time they could be rediscovered. This single epic tale is the foundation for every mysterious stone carving and every bottomless money pit said to be found in the New World. So, that's the blockbuster version of the story. But before we go looking for clues, we need to understand who the Knights Templar actually were, because the truth is just as fascinating, just in a very different way. So, that's the blockbuster version of the story. But before we go looking for clues, we need to understand who the Knights Templar actually were. Because the truth is just as fascinating, just in a very different way. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, the Knights Templar, were founded around 1119. Their job was simple and noble: protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. For nearly 200 years, they were the elite fighting force of the Crusades. But their military skill was only half the story. The Templars created one of the earliest and most sophisticated international banking systems. A pilgrim in London could deposit their money, get a letter of credit, travel to Jerusalem, and withdraw their funds. This innovation made them fantastically wealthy and powerful. They owned huge tracts of land across Europe, loaned money to kings, and managed massive financial networks. Their wealth wasn't a secret stash of gold coins and goblets in a vault. Their wealth, the network, it was land, castles, IOUs, and financial influence. This is a critical point we'll come back to. So why did it all end? By the early 1300s, the Crusader states in the Holy Land had fallen, and the Templars' main military purpose was gone. To King Philip IV of France, who was deeply in debt the Templars, the order looked less like a holy army and more like a rich and vulnerable target. The heresy charges were a convenient excuse. On that infamous Friday the 13th, Philip didn't launch a treasure hunt. He executed a hostile corporate takeover, seizing the Templars' assets, their land, their farms, their records within his kingdom. Okay, with the real history in hand, let's go back to those clues and see if they hold up under scrutiny. First up, the star witness, the Kensington Runestone. Discovered by a Minnesota farmer in 1898, this 200-pound rock is inscribed with Viking-like runes and dated to 1362. The story it tells is of Scandinavian explorers attacked far from their ships. Proponents claim it's real, with some pointing to geological tests they say show centuries-old weathering. However, the overwhelming majority of language experts and historians have dismissed the stone as a 19th-century forgery. The grammar and mix of runes just don't match 14th-century practices. In fact, some of the specific runes have been traced to 19th-century Swedish books that the Scandinavian immigrants who settled Minnesota would have been very familiar with. It seems much more likely to be a product of local pride than a medieval land claim. Next, we head to Newport, Rhode Island, to see the Newport Tower. It's a circular stone structure that believers claim is a classic Templar-style watchtower. It definitely looks out of place, like a piece of a medieval castle was dropped into New England. The problem? The tower's first owner, colonial governor Benedict Arnold, grandfather of the famous traitor, called it "my stone-built windmill" in his will. And carbon dating of the mortar places its construction sometime in the mid to late 1600s, lining up perfectly with the colonial period. It's almost certainly a 17th century windmill. And then there's the big one, the Money Pit on Oak Island, Nova Scotia. For over 200 years, this site has been home to the world's longest and most expensive treasure hunt. Legend says there's a deeply buried, booby-trapped vault holding everything from Shakespeare's manuscripts to the Templar treasure itself. Week after week on TV, we watch the search continue. But what has actually been found? After centuries of digging, millions of dollars spent, and several lives lost, there has been zero conclusive proof of any organized treasure cache, Templar or otherwise. The island is mostly littered with the debris of 2 centuries of, well, treasure hunting. It's an intriguing mystery, but the Money Pit has so far only been a pit that consumes money, not one that produces treasure. Finally, what about Henry Sinclair's voyage? This whole idea hangs by a very thin thread. A document published in Venice in 1558, more than 150 years the supposed trip. It claims to be based on letters from 2 brothers who sailed for a prince named Zishmni, who theorists identify as Henry Sinclair. There are no other contemporary records of this voyage, none. And the famous carvings in Rosslyn Chapel, said to be of American plants like corn, are fiercely debated by botanists who argue they're just stylized drawings of European plants. So, if the evidence for Templars in America is just a collection of misidentified buildings, forgeries, and modern legends, what really happened to them? The truth is far less romantic. When King Philip moved against the order, he captured only a fraction of its members, estimated at around 10 to 20%. The rest weren't on a secret fleet sailing to America. Most just faded away. Some were absorbed into other knightly orders, like the Knights of Christ in Portugal. Others likely just hung up their swords and retired into civilian life. And the great treasure? It never existed in the way the legend describes. As we talked about, the Templars' wealth was a financial system, not a room full of gold. When the order was dismantled, its assets were simply seized by kings and popes or transferred to their rivals, the Knights Hospitaller. There was no secret cash to spirit away in the night. As for their fleet, the Templars did have ships, but they were mostly a Mediterranean and coastal operation for transport and trade. They didn't have a blue water navy capable of organized, large-scale Atlantic voyages in the 14th century. The navigation and shipbuilding technology just wasn't there yet. Most importantly, we have to talk about the Holy Grail. In all the extensive records we have from the Knights Templar, their rules, their chronicles, their financial ledgers, there is not one single mention of them ever having, or even looking for, the Holy Grail. The link between the Templars and the Grail is a modern invention, made popular by fiction centuries after they were gone. So why is this myth so powerful? The story of the Templars in America taps into our love for secret knowledge and hidden history. It combines the romance of medieval knights with the adventure of the New World and the ultimate spiritual quest. It's the same impulse that makes movies like National Treasure so much fun. It's a fantastic story, but as history lovers, our job is to look for the truth, and the truth is grounded in evidence. That evidence shows the Knights Templar were a powerful and innovative medieval order who met a tragic end thanks to the greed of a king. Their real story is one of finance, faith, and politics, not secret voyages and hidden relics in America. But I'm curious, what part of the Templar myth do you find most compelling? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy separating historical fact from fascinating fiction, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.